What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. This week has been kind of a huge one for the channel, and I need to send my thanks out to Stephen Raleigh and Scott LaBeau, who donated $50 and $100 respectively to Patreon, which is huge in and of itself, but in addition to that, it set me over the next goal that I had on Patreon, so that's just amazing, and I need to thank all of my patrons, new and old. What that means hitting that next tier is that from now on, every month, once a month, I'm going to be giving away a full year-long subscription to the Star Wars subscription box, Smuggler's Bounty. So if you're a patron, you're automatically entered for that, and that's just one way for me to show my appreciation to all of you. But I don't want to eat up too much time before we get into questions, so let's just dive in. Once a Man asks who I think Woody Harrelson will be playing in the Han Solo movie, and suggests that he could be a character like Garrus Shrike. And I totally agree with that. As a mentor to Han, I think he will be someone similar to Garrus, but I have a feeling he's going to be a new character, not picked out from Legends. He'll probably be like a combination of Legends characters. I could also see him possibly being the antagonist of the film, like maybe Han screws him over at some point, and they used to have a good working relationship, and then Han pulls something shifty, and now Woody Harrelson's character is out for him. I would also kind of like to see him play an alien. It's a little strange to me now that we're having recognizable actors get into Star Wars films, and it's a good thing, but I'm used to them being mostly unknown, not huge names. Like, I mean, Harrison Ford was made huge because of Star Wars, but seeing someone who's already famous step into a role is just something new that I have to get used to. So it would be kind of cool if they could make him a little less recognizable, maybe put him in some makeup. I'd like to see something like that. I'm just would like to see more non-human characters take larger roles in the films. Michael Sweat wants to know if I think Grand Admiral Thrawn will continue on in Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, or if he's going to be like a one-season villain like we had in Seasons 1 and 2. If you asked me at the beginning of this season, I was pretty convinced that Thrawn would just have a one-season arc. But asking me now, I really hope that's not the case. I think that in this last half of the season, we're going to see him really put the hammer down on the Rebels and really get them against the ropes. I don't think Commander Sato is long for this world. I think that Thrawn is going to be the catalyst for a lot of change in Rebels, and I think he's going to do some awesome things, but if he just does awesome things in the last few episodes and then he's killed off, that to me doesn't do the character justice. I want to see him do more. I want this to be like the first of a major defeat for our heroes, and then in Season 4 he continues to be a threat until he's finally killed. And I do think he will die in Rebels. The book Thrawn that's coming out, that's supposed to be like a prequel between Thrawn's early life leading up to Rebels, so I don't think we'll see him die there. I think that he will be killed in Rebels. Probably, I hope, like in Legends, it won't be because of anything that the Rebels have done. It'll be from unforeseen circumstances. I originally thought Callus would be the one to do it, but now I think that Thrawn knows Callus is a bad guy, so I just don't know where they're going right now, and that's a good thing. But I hope it takes longer than half a season to play out. Darth Zandrum has a question about the book Lost Stars. In the book, a character named Sienna sees Palpatine for the first time, and she's surprised at how scary he looks because in Imperial propaganda, he looks like a normal person. And Zandrum is wondering if we've ever seen that before or if it's a continuity error, and we have actually seen it. In Star Wars Rebels, you can see a HoloNet report, and Palpatine is in it, portrayed as a completely normal-looking dude. So it is something that we have been shown. It just wasn't really like the focus of the episode or even the scene, if I remember correctly. But yeah, in Imperial propaganda, they alter his image so he doesn't look all gross and wrinkly and scary to the rest of the public eye. Stephen Raleigh wants to know when Orson Krennic came into the picture as far as the Death Star is concerned, because in the book Tarkin, he's not mentioned at all. Krennic was a part of the Death Star since before the Clone Wars ended, so since its beginning. The book Tarkin is a very self-contained story, so it makes sense that he wouldn't be mentioned in it, but even so, as far as Tarkin is concerned, at that point in time, which is 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, Tarkin was in charge of, yes, kind of managing Krennic from a military perspective. He was more in charge of overseeing the protection of the Death Star, while Krennic was in charge of its actual technological development. So he's really just an ambitious scientist. He doesn't have a military background, but he feels that because he built the thing or managed the building of the thing, which is a big deal, he feels like he's entitled to also control it, even though someone like Tarkin with a military background would be more suited to the job. So that's why we didn't really hear about him in Tarkin, or at least the way I see it. Asher Levi asks if I think we'll ever see any further evolution of the lightsaber design. I would be shocked if we never ever saw any new variant of the lightsaber. I just hope that they don't get too crazy. Like, some of the ones in Legends are way out there, but something like Kylo Ren's lightsaber, which is just like a little design tweak, something like that, which I think is cool, I'm sure we'll see something that's at least a little bit different but not too bizarre in the lightsabers at some point in the future. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and I didn't answer your question in this video, just go over to our weekly Q&A thread and I left you a written response there. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you some extra Star Wars Explained goodies, including entry into that monthly Smuggler's Bounty giveaway. And the combined donations really go a long way in helping support the channel. Also, if you just want more of my thoughts and opinions on new Star Wars content and other things, Patreon is probably the best place for that. They actually named me more active with my patrons than 95% of the creators on that platform, and that's something I am very proud of. On to YouTube questions. Darth Mara asks, if Jeddah is a moon, where is its planet? That's a good question, and I think the answer can actually be found in Return of the Jedi. If you remember, Endor was also a moon, and we never saw its planet. Endor in that case refers to both the moon and the planet, because the moon itself was the only habitable part. So I imagine that Jeddah follows similar rules. There is a planet that's called Jeddah, I'm guessing, and the moon is where people can actually survive. So when people say, I'm going to Jeddah, they're probably talking about the moon, but it could also refer to the planet. We just didn't see it. Joey Angotti wants to know how the First Order remained hidden from the New Republic. Well, the First Order was established in the unknown regions, which is a huge amount of unexplored space, so even a sizable force could effectively hide. On top of that, we don't know how big their force actually is. I mean, we've seen Starkiller Base and we've seen the Finalizer, but they might not have dozens of Star Destroyers. I'm sure they have more than we've seen, but we just don't know yet. And on top of that, there was a treaty signed between what was left of the Empire and the New Republic called the Galactic Concordance, and they weren't meant to cross into each other's territory. So the First Order was probably left pretty much alone, but that was more about keeping them out than the New Republic investigating them, which they probably should have been doing more of, but we just don't know that history. We don't know how big the First Order's fleet is, so can't really give you a firm answer yet, but I would just go with it's the unknown regions and they could be anywhere. Silly Hobbit asks what I would change about The Force Awakens if I could. I would swap Starkiller Base out for almost anything else. I'm just tired of super weapons and I'd like to see something fresh, a different kind of threat. Also, I'm not crazy about the Rathtar scene. It all just felt a little wacky and out of place to me. Alan Judge wants to know who the second most powerful person in the Empire was. Politically, after Emperor Palpatine, would be Mas Amida. He was the Grand Vizier of the Galactic Empire, and before that he was Palpatine's Vice-Chancellor, and he's one of the few people that actually knows Palpatine's true identity as Darth Sidious. But politically, yeah, Mas Amida's your guy. Lucas Ivanov asks if I prefer the canon or the Legends version of General Grievous. My introduction to that character was the animated Clone Wars that came out before Revenge of the Sith, and in that he was pretty scary and formidable. The new canon, I don't really find him to be that intimidating, so I do prefer the Legends version, and I prefer the Legends history of General Grievous. That's all the time for questions I have this week. If you want to leave a question for next week, just put it in the comments below or join up on Patreon to get access to our weekly Q&A discussion thread. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.